I think when you bring something out of the darkness into the light, it loses power. And so as I keep talking about it though, I kind of claim a little bit more victory over it.
You're listening to Rise Above, a Rogers Behavioral Health podcast, where we sit down with Rogers experts who are changing the way the world views mental health and addiction. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Today, I have a guest with me who she's been with me before. It's Jana. Say hi, Jana.
Hey everybody.
And Jana, the last time she was on, she talked about her struggle with OCD and her time at Rogers. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I would go back and listen to that first. But we have so much more to talk about today because after Jana left Rogers, she's done so much, not only in advocacy work, but just in her personal life. So I guess let's just do the quick rundown of your OCD struggles, and then we'll just move into what you've been up to.
Sounds good. So to recap, first started experiencing symptoms around 10 years old. Did not get properly diagnosed until early 2019, my sophomore year of college, which not only did my symptoms really become identifiable, but they became the worst they'd ever been. So I was pointed to Rogers, went to partial hospitalization treatment, and was able to become educated and receive help for my OCD, contamination, and anxiety.
And then you came back home,
Yes.
and would you say you thrived?
I honestly, I felt like it was a springboard, which, once I left, I really was able to push off from what I had learned and who I was starting to become into who I am now. And I am so, so thankful for that. So as soon as I got home, I was trying to get back into my normal routine, trying to implement what I had learned within the four walls of Rogers and, translate that into the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm a very passionate person about the Miss America organization. I had did a little bit involvement before, treatment, my mental health journey, but since I had really gone through that, I wanted to share and I wanted to figure out a way to help some other individuals know that they weren't alone because I really isolated myself before treatment. I didn't think anyone else struggled with OCD tendencies or thought things were dirty or needed to check something or simply just was caught in this cycle of doing things over and over. And so I um, competed in a local for the Miss America organization and was able to really start to formulate how to share my story and what I went
Mm.
through and let others know that they're not alone in receiving treatment.
So you saw that kind of as a path to, yeah, to share with others and to lift other people up with your story. So when you left treatment,
Yeah.
did you know you were going to do advocacy work right away?
When I first, when I left treatment, I didn't think right off the bat, I'm going to go tell the world about my story and my journey. It kind of just happened as I slowly started actually telling friends and telling family members outside of my close circle about what I was experiencing. And the feedback I got was, I would have never known, or, oh, I know someone who struggles that. I myself have been through something like that. And it was just this, oh, like, why did I isolate myself and think that I was the only one fighting these battles when in reality, there's ways to combat it and other people might have experienced it as well. So then I just started kind of really using the platform within Miss America organization and organizations to find community and realize that I was not the only one in the struggle of OCD, that there's others out there as well. And it's so important to share because we all can relate. And I think I when I heard someone share their story when I was in treatment, it made me feel a lot better about what I was going through. And it might not have looked exactly the same as my journey, but I realized I wasn't alone. And that was a game changer.
Do you think when you were in treatment that you shared your story with others and you were an inspiration for people that were coming to treatment when you were at the tail end of yours?
Oh, that's a good question. So actually, I remember there, we have the other patients as well for PHP, and everyone there is within different walks of life, different um like sectors of OCD. So maybe it's not contamination, maybe it's, you know, identity, maybe it's religious, there's a lot of different types. And just seeing the other tendencies that other people had, but we were yet all the same in the overall arching of OCD behaviors. And I was talking to this man who was probably mid 40s, had a family, and I had pictures in my room of my family members and some quotes that inspired me because I was just like anything to kind of keep going. And he looked at the picture and he's like, "That's you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Wow." He's like, "Well, you act like this is not hard for you. This is," and I'm like, "Oh no, it is." But he was like, "Well, I feel like you've just been able to really kind of bring everyone to light with it at the end and kind of just really come out of this." And I was like, "Oh,
That must
it's
have
kind of,
felt
you're like,
amazing.
wow." I'm like, "Really?" Because I mean, I am a bubbly person, but to hear someone say like, "You act like this isn't hard for you," I was like, who are you talking to?" I was like, "Clearly, maybe not me." But it's funny from someone maybe just starting to now to the end of treatment to see kind of someone in a different position. It's really cool.
You go from the new person to like the old veteran that's offering
Mhm.
advice along the way.
Yes, and would never thought that would have been me. I didn't think I, that was going to be me at all. So my journey after treatment, I um competed in a local competition for Miss America. I didn't win, but I ended up actually saying, "You know what? There's so much more to life, and I feel like I'm able to do it." So I actually went to school in person in Virginia,
Hmm.
and then from there got into the Walt Disney internship with the Disney College program. So I went down to Orlando, and if you've ever been to Disney, it is a very peoply, very
Mm.
germy, very just a lot of people, a lot of things. And so to go and do that was just like, this can't be taken from me. I'm able to learn what I need to do. And if Jana, the girl who saw herself that couldn't leave her room or would be washing her hands every 10 seconds after she touched her phone because her phone touched a certain thing, it would be not, it wouldn't seem attainable. But now I was like, wow, I'm here, I'm doing this. And then after my internship, I moved here to Tennessee and have been able to achieve the dream of being a local title holder with Miss Tennessee, and have gone across the state and worked with organizations to not only eradicate the stigma around mental health, mental illnesses specifically, because, we all have mental health, but just receiving treatment, talking about it, um, identifying and knowing what we can do to find hope and help.
And we will be right back. Real quick, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about WISE, the Initiative for Stigma Elimination. It unites people across the nation to support those touched by mental illness and addiction. The compassionate approach champions personal stories and powerful connections, fostering healing by reducing stigma through evidence-based practices. Rogers Behavioral Health supports the work of WISE through their Community Learning and Engagement Department. WISE collaborates with a diverse network of organizations and individuals united in the fight against stigma. You can learn more about WISE, explore their 4 key programs, and connect with them by visiting the website www.eliminatestigma.org. And now back to the interview. So, when you say doing advocacy work, what type of stuff have you been involved in?
Yeah, so a lot of organizations within the Nashville area, specifically, whether that's going to be the International OCD Foundation, has walks that are yearly that I've been involved with. So, being able to do that with other participants, going to the state capitol and speaking with legislators about proposed bills that impact mental health, as overall, whether that's funding, whether that is actually, the most recent one I remember was there was a proposed bill for psychologists to be able to potentially provide medication, or, some type of medication be allowed through a psychologist, not a psychiatric
Mm.
doctor. And so there's a difference there. And so what was really cool is I was able to speak with legislators about, hey, it's really important that there are certified psychiatric doctors doing this, because there is certain dosages and certain types of medication that don't work for individuals, because I was one of them. I had
Mm-hmm.
tried a medication, it didn't work for me. And so being able to work with trained psychiatric doctors through Rogers is what helped me find that that sweet spot, what was
Mm.
working for me, what was ideal, and I told them that was really a game changer. And honestly, all I did was share my story, and I really shared my experience because those are the most impactful because someone else might have been in that way, been in those shoes as well.
Yeah. Did you ever find it hard to share your story?
I do. I think it's become a lot easier. But it's also one of those things where it's like, ooh, wait, I did do that. That's part of my past, that wasn't fun. That was a really dark time. But it also, I think when you bring something out of the darkness into the light, it loses power. And so as I keep talking about it though, I kind of claim a little bit more victory over it. So
Hmm.
I have gotten more comfortable, but it definitely took some time for sure.
So speaking of claiming victory, you've had a recent victory.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your book?
Yes, so I just finally published my first children's book. It's called My Friend Roger, an OCD Narrative for Kids. And so this is inspired about a young girl who starts having OCD symptoms and, learns how to combat them with treatment and tools in her toolbox.
Oh, and so what made you want to talk about this with kids?
So early intervention is so important. I think as a 10-year-old, if I even had a small hint about what OCD was or what mental illnesses were, I might have had a different path, just maybe, or even to have a different approach as I grew up a little bit. And so when I initially thought about this, I thought, what would be an educational tool that would I wish I had, or someone could easily read to a classroom or bring into a clinic and say, hey, this is a simple way to present OCD and
Hmm.
kind of give it a name and personify it to kind of start that conversation.
So when you were writing it, did you feel like it was a healing process for you, or how did it feel writing the book?
It was kind of surreal because I was thinking, what did I feel in these moments? How can I simplify this for
Mm.
10-year-old Jana? What can I do to really help her? And so I simply kind of narrated what I did in my own journey, like kind of through the small OCD behaviors and compulsions I did, and what would be the way to receive treatment. So basically, why it's called My Friend Roger is Roger, this little character, represents the voice that fuels behavior compulsions when anxiety demands relief. So, you know, Roger represents OCD, anxiety, doubt, worry, fear. He's kind of like a little ball of all these emotions. So
Mhm.
you can when you see the illustration, he's kind of all wrapped up in all these things. And so he keeps telling this young girl that, oh, you have to wash your hands, you have to do this, you can't go do that. And she listens and his voice gets louder and louder. Well, then she meets Dr. C, who's able to give her tools in her toolbox, and she's able to, not listen to Roger, and his voice gets quieter and quieter. And they're still friends. They still do things together, but he does not tell her what to do anymore, and she's able to do what she wants. And so it's
He's
kind of just easy way.
I say he's no longer bossy.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is actually a metaphor that I learned at Rogers where maybe Roger can be riding the bus with you, but he's not driving the bus. He can sit beside you on the bus, but he's not going to be driving the bus
Mm.
at all. You're driving, you're in control. He's not. So he can sit beside you and he might tell you some things, but he doesn't have to steer or drive the boat. I mean, the ship, the bus. Goodness.
Well, it's a ship, and also it's not a
Same.
bus. But yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you meant. So are you the main character?
I am, yeah, so it's pretty much well, I had sketched it out, and when I had met with the illustrator to talk about creating it, because I can draw stick figures, but did not want to present that to the world. So I actually showed the illustrator some photos of myself at 10 years old, and I was like, this is maybe what she could look like, short brown hair. And so he did that, and we were able to, kind of use this. I think just the best thing as a conversation starter and
Right.
showing that there is hope and there is ways to move forward, even if it seems small. Because when someone's battling OCD, anxiety, depression, any type of mental health disorder, it feels very large to them. And I don't think people from the outside understand that because the most simple tasks seem impossible. So letting someone know that there's tools and help to get those things done. And then beyond that, there's so much more beyond that is so important.
And we will be right back. Everyone deserves a chance for recovery. That's what drives Rogers Behavioral Health Foundation. They're helping people get the mental health care they need, from covering treatment costs for those in need, to building clinics where care is hard to find, to funding cutting-edge research. They're making real change happen. And guess what? You can help. Head to rogersbhfoundation.org and be part of creating a future where mental health and wellness thrive. And now back to the interview. Clearly you wanted to reach kids, but also their parents. What do you want people, like parents and children, to know about OCD and about the struggle, really?
Yeah, so it's actually very encouraging to see some parents will see the book, and I've already reached out to me saying, "Wow, it's so great that you've given this tool," but also to see what you're doing now. That really, you know, my daughter's going to be so impressed and inspired that you're doing this that maybe she'll want to do that too. Because actually, Dr. Liz, who at the time ran the Peace of Mind Foundation, which pointed me towards Rogers, um, she got her PhD, 'cause she also dealt with OCD at a young age, and so was able to become this doctor, and, she was on podcasts, she wrote a book, she was doing all these things, and I just thought the world of her. I was like, if she was able to get through the worst time in her life with her OCD journey, maybe I can too. And so it really just kind of kept me going forward. So hopefully parents and loved ones of those with OCD can kind of see this and be like, oh, maybe that won't be like this forever, because it won't. And there's tools and help that you can get with resources to move forward. And um, it's not going to be easy, but it's doable. And that's why we need to come together and support each other and have these resources available for those that are struggling.
So what would you say to someone, maybe it's a kid, maybe it's a teenager, you were in your early 20s, that it needs help, is scared to get help?
I would say that's totally normal. I was in your shoes. It's scary, it's unknown, but take the first step to try to see what the clinician has to say. See what information is being offered and just try it. I mean, you never know until you try, and I think you can always give it a go.
And what would you want people to know just about OCD in general?
Just because OCD is intangible doesn't mean that it's not real. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's make up or believe or it's not real. It's very controlling, and these behaviors really take over your life. So if you're in those shoes where you feel like you are stuck and can't move forward, give yourself the tools to move forward. Try to go to treatment, try to receive help, and just learn about what OCD, anxiety, or depression, or what it might be, is so you can live the life that you've always dreamed of and achieve those dreams that you still have.
So what gives you hope now?
I honestly look back at when I was in treatment and just think about myself a couple years ago and think about where I was and where I am now and how much work and how hard it was to get here. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful that I was able to receive treatment, that I want everyone else to have the opportunity to receive treatment as well. So my goal now is to use that pain and that struggle to have meaningful purpose and to really share the message of treatment, of proper treatment, of advocacy, of education, because it's not your world's not over. I thought my world was over. I thought myself of who I was gone, but it's not. You're able to receive treatment, and you can walk on the carpet without paper towels. You can not take 4 to 5 hour showers. You can do these things and still have a normal life without being stuck in these cycles.
Jana, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward. I'm gonna read your book, by the way, uh, and I think other people should look forward too. What's it called again?
It's called My Friend Roger, an OCD narrative for kids. So if you look that up, it has its own storefront, so you'll be able to see everything. But actually, a lot of the proceeds of this book are going towards resources to provide treatment for OCD patients, because I was in a boat where I needed financial support as well. So that's something that's really cool. So you'll be
Amazing,
supporting a great cause and also getting to learn a little bit as well.
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you again for your time, and hopefully we talk again soon.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, listener, thank you so much for listening to this conversation I had with Jana. I feel like her journey reminds me that advocacy isn't just about sharing a story. It's about changing the way that people understand mental health disorders. Through her pageant platform, her commitment to speaking openly about her experience, and through this new children's book, Jana is helping families, communities, and young people recognize that OCD is more than just a personality quirk. It's a real, treatable condition. And just talking about it can help save a life. If you're interested in looking into her children's book, I'll provide a link in the description. And as always, thank you for listening to Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And if you or someone you care about is struggling with a mental health or substance use disorder, visit rogersbh.org for a free mental health screening. Until next time, thank you so much for listening.